What sex therapists wish you knew. Nearly a dozen experts in intimacy describe the advice they give on repeat. Couples worried about mismatched libidos, people struggling to orgasm, lovers wondering if they are having a normal amount of sex. Sex therapists, educators, and researchers tend to see these issues over and over again. So we'll reach out to several of them to ask, what do you wish more people knew about sex and intimacy? Here's what the experts had to say. The sip of sexual joy. Laurie, a psychologist and a professor at the University of British Columbia, who is the author of Better Sex Through Mindfulness, spent a lot of time trying to persuade people to discard the concept of a normal sex life when it comes to how often they get intimate. The frequency with which couples have sex is not a meaningful measure of sexual health, she said, even though it is something people get really hung up on. It doesn't tell you anything about whether individuals are actually enjoying time with their partners and the sex they're having, she added. I have worked with couples who are having sex every night and miserable together, echoed the Casey, a sex therapist based in New York City and also repeated all. Conversely, she has worked with a couple who feel deeply connected and who have sex maybe 3 times a year. Let go of the numbers game, Mr. T urged, and instead focus on how each sexual experience feels. Updating your definition. We have a tendency to think of sex as an action, said E, a couples therapist, and also who is starting a new online course about desire. But she reframes it for her clients and audiences. Sex isn't something that you do. Ms. P tells them sex is a place where you go. She often asks questions like, what do you want to experience there? Is this an experience for you of transcendence, of spiritual union, of deep connection, or is it an experience where you can be mischievous and for once not a good citizen? Acknowledging that a joint orgasm isn't the only destination during sex can help couples become unstuck, Mr. P. find. Candice, an associate professor at Emory University and author of the forthcoming book, Good Sex, encouraged her clients to think about the idea of a sexual menu. Most of us get this really unseasoned sexual menu kind of handed to us when we are kids, she said. The types of sex on our menu may be influenced by media, sex education classes, and what we pick up socially. But she encouraged her sex therapy clients to create a more flavorful, personalized menu. She suggests they say for themselves what their yeses are, what their no's are, what their maybe-so's are. The only non-negotiable pleasure should be the main course. You'd be surprised by how many people I talk to on a day-to-day basis who don't understand that sex isn't supposed to be painful, said Jay, a sex therapist based in Michigan. Or orgasm optional, but pleasure is mandatory. More than one type of desire. Sexual desire, as is portrayed in TV, movies, and pornography, is invariably spontaneous, a sudden, overwhelming urge to have sex. But there is another equally valid type of desire known as responsive desire. It emerges in response to deliberate pleasure or erotic stimuli, said L., a psychologist and sex therapist based in Minnesota, and an author of desire. People who tend to experience responsive desire should feel reassured that there is nothing wrong with them, she said. They are not broken. They might simply need to put in a bit more work to understand what kind of erotic stimulation help them feel open to the possibility of intimacy, like touch, for instance. Also, couples need to let go of the expectation that they should be aligned in how and when they experience desire. Desire discrepancy is the norm rather than the exception, Dr. Appat said. The power of the clitoris. The clitoris is the powerhouse of the female orgasm, and the vast majority of the sensitive nerves endings that contribute to the pleasure are located on the surface of the vulva, not inside the vagina, said I, a sex therapist based in New York City and the author of She Comes First. Most of the intercostal positions don't provide a lot of clitoral stimulation, he said, which is a major contributor to the pleasure gap among heterosexual couples. In taking a more clitoral approach to sex, activities that are typically thought of as a foreplay, like manual and oral stimulation, are not just a precursor to something else. They are the main event, Dr. K explained. That said, there are women who can orgasm during intercourse, said D., a professor at the Indiana University School of Public Health and also yes, your kid. What parents need to know about today's teens and sex, whose research suggests 18% of women orgasm from penetration alone. For women who do want to have an orgasm during vaginal penetration or intercourse, it's okay to want that, and there are ways to try, she added. Not light the switches. There are many cliches about male sexuality, among them that all men think about sex constantly and that all it takes is a strong breeze for a guy to get an erection, Dr. K said. What gets lost is the bigger truth that makes male sexuality is as complex and variable as female sexuality, Dr. K said. Desire discrepancy is the number one issue he sees in his practice, and men are just as likely to be the low desire partners as women, he said. Often his male clients feel a lot of shame and embarrassment that they are not initiating sex the way they are supposed to. Men are not light at the switches when it comes to sex, Dr. K said. They don't just turn on and off. Intimacy on the calendar. Putting sex on the calendar is well-worn sex therapy advice, but Ms. T believes it can backfire. The pressure of having to keep a sexual appointment can actually decrease the sexual desire. She explained, rather than putting sex on your calendar, schedule an activity that opens the door for intimacy. What that means will vary from couple to couple, said Jay, a sex therapist in private practice in Seattle, who offers the same advice to her clients. Perhaps it's a date night, perhaps you get into bed a bit earlier than usual and see what happens. It's so different than, okay, we are going to have sex every Sunday night, because oh my gosh, it's not too long before the lower desire person is starting to avoid that or dread that, she said. It's possible to overthink.